Hello. Welcome, Women's Wellness Community, to your meditation and pranayama on Friday, February the 17th, I believe, 14th, 15th, yes, on February the 17th. We are not that far away from March. I realized that as I was doing, I always go forward in my journal by the week and into the next weekend, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we are almost in March, and I'm still in the present moment. I have to say that too. Hey, Sandra. So it is, and I heard that familiar, I'm not sure if it's a mourning dove or it's just like, wee, wee. Oh my gosh, that was not good. It's more of a whistle. And I'm like, yay! We are moving forward. So, as we're coming on, we're going to do a breath practice this morning. And I had an aha moment, actually, as I was thinking this morning about this practice of breathing being the gateway into meditation. Now, we've talked about that before in different let's say groups. In Tuesday on our lives, we've talked about that, and I'm really focused for the month of February on the heart and the relationship of our breathing patterns to the health of our heart. So welcome, Suzanne, welcome, Isabel. So that has been a focus, and it's really interesting. This has been one of the amazing benefits of doing this podcast, is then that extra kind of research and not just, let's say, Googling, but awareness within myself of playing with some of these techniques a little bit more and being reminded of some of the techniques that, because when I did my certification years ago, the pranayama practice, this is what I remembered this morning. The pranayama practice that we were given was as long and sometimes longer than the physical posture practice, right? We had to keep a log as part of our certification. It was a 2-year process that actually, because I lived long away, it was a 5-year process. It was in Toronto. So the pranayama practice, to my teacher, was, I'm not going to say more important, but it was integrated. It was a huge part. And so when you think about this practice, and when you call it pranayama or pranayama, it does make it a little bit sexier. I'm going to say that right now, because even from a meditation perspective, right? If you think to yourself, did I do my meditation practice this morning? Or you're writing in your journal, you're keeping track of your meditation practice. Or somebody says, are you a meditator? It's very different if you say, I'm a breather. I have a breath practice. Yeah, no, I breathe every day. It's like, right? It does not sound as much like we're accomplishing something. It sounds sometimes a little bit, boring. It's like you focus on your breath, that's your practice. Like, have laundry to do, have countries to see. So this is where I am, let's say, focusing on the breath practice, to make it sexy, to make it a gateway to meditation, to know that knowing your breath pattern, okay, and actually I'm saying, Isabel, we talked about this yesterday as well, knowing your breath pattern and how you breathe in your body when you're falling asleep, when you get up in the morning, when you're moving through your activities during the day, it's extremely interesting. And the more interesting that you make your breath, good morning, Mom, the more you're going to want to pay attention to it. So here's the thing, we're meditating. Usually the cue is, if your attention leaves your breath, right? It's taken away by thoughts. Bring your attention back to your breath. That is mindfulness meditation. This was my aha this morning. I'm like, well, why would we bring it back to the breath when the thoughts are so much more interesting? There's so much more drama and excitement in our thoughts than paying attention to our breath. And as people will say, it feels kind of boring. I don't know what I should be watching and listening and feeling. So I'm going to go with my thoughts because they're like cool. They are fun. So I'm driving, I'm thinking, it just makes so much sense partly why meditation, right, is quite challenging. So here's the thing, as we come into our practice this morning, I'd like you to start to think about your breath as being magical, about being healing, about strengthening, about powerful. All of, let's say, these descriptions that make you want to come back and nurture yourself from the inside out with your breath. And it's all of that. You can practice in a setting like we're doing Friday morning before you go to bed, when you get up in the morning, anytime during the day, when you're standing in line, all of that. You can take it to the streets. But this is my challenge for you, to start to think about your breath as being the magnificent healing tool that it is. Okay? From a strength and from our singing. So many of you here are, again, artists and singers and in choirs in this group, right? So the power of the breath. But it can be very quiet. And that's what we're going to start with. So I'm going to get a little bit more comfortable. And you can be laying down for this. You can lay down and be propped up with pillows for sure. I'm going to tuck my pillows under my knees here. I've got a little bit of support in the back. And when you do your breath practice, you can gaze softly on me. That's why I have the light on. I think it's a little bit, sometimes when the light's off, it's, especially if we're doing something like this, it's a little more challenging. So you can gaze down at the floor. Okay, you can close your eyes if the ability to bring your attention inward and to feel your breath is easier with your eyes closed. And it can be, to go ahead and do that. And our intention as we come into our breath practice this morning, and pranayama means breath control, breath manipulation. Okay, we're not going to be changing our breath this morning. But focusing on your breath, okay, paying attention to your breath awareness is a pranayama technique as well. And sometimes it's the most difficult one, but it's the most valuable one. So as you are starting to feel your breath, I'm going to be giving you cues. It's not going to be silent. Okay, so you're just starting to feel your breath in your body. Right away, your mind wants to take a bigger breath. Right away, it wants to take a bigger breath in or a bigger breath out. So I'd like you to just feel your breath in your body. And yes, try to resist that feeling that you need to do something. Okay, that you need to, feel like you're filling the belly, or no. I know it's opposite to what we sometimes do. Just feel the breath. Sometimes you have to move around a little bit, kind of because we get rigid. We get, I'm not sure if I'm feeling it. So again, I'm not going to give you any cues quite yet. I will as we get going, or let's say suggestions, but right now, just feel for your breath. Actually, what helps me is when I think about just letting my body breathe, and I'm an observer. Again, if you feel like you need to move anytime during this, you might be paying attention and then feeling like you want to take a bigger breath and a breath out. It's like you just want to get the engine going. It's, again, not the easiest practice. Now, just as I'm having you be an observer for the breath, just letting your body breathe, you're not controlling it, you're not sending it anywhere. You're just noticing it anywhere in your body. It could be your shoulders, your chest, your back, your nose, your belly, your jaw. And so my first suggestion, as you are feeling your body breathe, is to just check in with your mouth. And if your mouth is open, just close it lightly. And I find it's helpful to have a light smile if it feels okay. If you have a light smile and you feel the edges of your mouth come up, sometimes you'll feel a change in your breath. As the edges of your mouth come up, again, whether your eyes are open or closed. For myself, sometimes I find all of a sudden my inhalation deepens. And so just notice with that smile. Now sometimes it can feel, I'm gonna let you just play with that. Now just noticing your breath again, your body is breathing you. You're not sending your breath anywhere. The only suggestion so far is to ensure that your mouth is closed and the air is coming in through your nose. And at this point, out through your nose as well. And can you keep that light smile on your face as you exhale? Because it's interesting. Because the exhale has us grounding and dropping a little bit, sometimes I feel the edges of my mouth on the exhalation as I don't want to be rigid with this smile, but I feel the dropping down. And then the lifting up of the inhalation as I lift the sides of my mouth. And so as we continue feeling again our body breathing us, you may notice that your breath is naturally becoming a little bit deeper, a little bit longer, without you having to have done anything. Okay, you're just creating space for your breath, time for your breath, for it to become a little bit stronger in your body, a little bit more presence, a little bit more awareness. And so now again, not pressing or pushing your belly out. I'd like you to just feel for how the belly moves out on the inhalation. And after a few breaths, what I would do in a breath practice with a client or with a group, after a little bit, I would say if you don't feel the belly, the abdomen moving out as you inhale, this is the time to give it a little bit of a head start. And yes, in that scenario, I would say put your hand on your belly and feel the belly, feel the skin, feel the muscles, okay, coming into your hand on your inhalation. And as you exhale, if it's not resting back, give it a little bit of without going up here. And just keep feeling for this. If you're feeling your abdomen already, the belly's moving out, and you can still have your hand here, but if you'd like to have your arms resting. I did this with some participants in my cardiac rehab group yesterday. And let's say there's homework all round. Right? Of feeling the abdomen moving out on the inhalation and the shoulders not coming up on the inhalation. The shoulders stay relaxed, the belly moves out. So you may or may not be manipulating it right now. You may be noticing that that's happening naturally, or you're giving it a little bit of support, a little bit of direction. Now as you exhale and that abdomen comes back, for those of you who have been following some of the lives or podcasts, and that imagery, that physiology that's happening on your exhalation where the diaphragm is drawing up, it's actually relaxing and flattening up, helping to squeeze the air out of the lungs and giving your heart a little massage. And as you inhale, that diaphragm drops down, presses on your abdominal contents, moves everything out. And as you exhale, and draws up. So we have this beautiful internal massage and strengthening. And this is why we do a practice. Okay, that you thinking about it, if you are walking around and lifting things during the day and groceries and moving things around your house with your biceps and your triceps and your deltoids, you're still going to want to do an extra practice of strength training to maintain the strength that you have. Same thing with the diaphragm. That as you are moving around through your day, and you're noticing when you're holding your breath, okay, and then you get your breath going again. These periods of a concentrated practice for your diaphragm, your major breathing muscle, it's all muscle, well, and fascia. This practice, little snippets during the day of doing a longer and deeper breath is what we're coming to. You're strengthening your core, you're strengthening your inner resilience because of the manipulation of the vagus nerve, which runs from your brain to your belly. And so now as you exhale for the last few breaths, follow your exhalation right to its end point. Feel that heart massage. And you may not feel the stimulation of the vagus nerve, except that you will. A deep sense of relaxation, and that's going to stay with you for the rest of the day. And the imagery that you are practicing right now for your heart, for your vagus nerve, for your diaphragm, fantastic brain work. On these last couple of breaths, I just want you to notice the connection to your posture if you're seated, how that exhalation and inhalation is supporting you. And if you can think for a moment again about that intention that you set at the beginning of this practice, of feeling the magic, the power, the healing, the strength. Okay, let's wrap those words around this practice. And I encourage you to do this tonight, before bed. Okay, at the very least, with the imagery. So I know some of you do the deep breathing before you go to bed. I'd like you to put in the work of the diaphragm, the massage of the heart, the stimulation of that longest nerve in the body. Okay, and enjoy your workout. And so from here, and as you start to move around a little bit, if your eyes were closed, opening your eyes. Just feeling that internal energy and flow and chi and prana and the magic of this tool that we have. So as we bring our hands together, okay, heart center, namaste. And go forward today with the knowledge that you are a breather, and be proud of it. Bye for now.